highs of around 90 tonight. Fair, but a little muggier lows near 70. For Thursday and Friday, not much change. Some sunshine and hot afternoons through Friday with highs 90 to 92. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm WDEF News 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today here on Clutch with Keon Rose. That would be me, Keon Rose, host of this here sports show on AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Your leader in news, both local and abroad, here in Chattanooga. You can follow us in a number of different ways. On Facebook and Twitter, if you search Hot News Talk Radio, our Twitter handle being, of course, at Hot News Radio. And you can listen to us on your phone, mobile device. Simply download the TuneIn Radio app from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. Search Hot News Talk Radio, and you can have Hot News Talk Radio wherever you go. You can also find us on hotnewstalkradio.com. So, I'd like to talk about a few things today in the world of sports. We had a few big stories, especially one of which being that Trent Richardson has been released by the Oakland Raiders. He was cut by the Oakland Raiders. Trent Richardson, of course, an alum of the University of Alabama, and during his time there, he was a great running back, Heisman Trophy candidate, fantastic player. And he got to the NFL and all but vanished off the face of the earth. And I think people wanted to know what happened to him and where all of that talent and where all of that promise was when he was drafted third overall by the Browns 3 years ago. And we just couldn't find it. And today on ESPN's First Take, Ryan Clark, the former NFL safety turned broadcast media member, basically, he didn't basically do it. He out and out called Trent Richardson the worst running back of all time. And I don't know if that's necessarily fair to say. I looked up some of the numbers, and of running backs with at least 600 carries, 600 opportunities to run the football, Trent Richardson is second to last on that list all time in the history of the league, going all the way back to 1920. So it's not completely unfounded. And a lot of the things that Trent Richardson showed when he was drafted into the league, people liked his aggressiveness, his physical style of running, his strength. A lot of those things, he didn't. He did use those things in the NFL, but he didn't live up to that promise. He did lack a lot of other things that he never did gain as an NFL running back, and that would be, a lot of the vision, the anticipation that comes with following an offensive line. That when they make a hole for you, you go through the hole. Sometimes that means that you have to change directions and cut back, but you have to see where the lanes open up. And he wasn't seeing it. But I don't know if it's fair to say that because of that, he's the worst running back of all time. And I think that when you talk about a person in that fashion, when you talk about somebody's reputation, you have to be careful. Having a good reputation is important. I think everybody knows this. This is obvious. I'm not stating anything new. I'm not breaking any ground here. I'm aware of that. But I think we're so very blasé and so very easy with how we toss out titles for people. When you say that someone is the worst running back in the history of the game of football, that is not something that will go away easily. No, Trent Richardson was not good. There's the YouTube video of him in a Raiders preseason game earlier this year. The offensive line opened up a massive hole It was enormous. You could drive a truck through it. I'm not even kidding. You could drive your literal car through the hole that offensive line made. And Trent Richardson did not see it. It was to the left of him, not way to the left of him, like just to the left of him. And he continued to run forward into the offensive line, into the pile where he was tackled, and he gained no yards. He turns to his left. He scores a touchdown, but he didn't. He didn't see it. So I'm not here to argue that he was good or that he's been good since Alabama, which if you're an Alabama fan, I'd love for you to tweet us at Hot News Radio or leave a message for us on Facebook. Search Hot News Talk Radio and let me know what you think happened to Trent Richardson, because I have no idea. That is not the guy that I saw in college at all. But you have to be careful when you say something like that, like, oh, here's a guy that's the worst running back of all time. The stink of a title like that is not going to go away from him. And Trent Richardson's pretty young. Sure, you could argue that at this point in his career, he is what he's going to be, but people are still coachable. People change styles. People can be used in a number of different ways, and the NFL is changing. The role of the running back is not the same as it once was. Okay, being able to run up the middle between the tackles is not as important a skill as it used to be. And when you're generating the low yards per carry that Trent Richardson has been producing, people aren't going to rely on you for that role. Okay, and he's never been a open space runner that you use on screen passes and bubble screens and the kind of the scat back that makes people miss in the open field and makes you pay. But in terms of seeing some of these holes and seeing where things are, I have trouble believing that the guy is uncoachable and is the worst that has ever played. And I think Ryan Clark was reckless with that. I do. In the way that he said that. And it wasn't an accident. He went on to say that there was a player in a freshman that goes to Louisiana, Baton Rouge, that he would rather have on an NFL team than Trent Richardson. I think that that's going too far. You're obviously just being insulting just to be insulting for the ratings. It is First Take. That's what they do on that show. They toss out fiery things, and then the rest of us get angry, and we talk about them, and then we give them more traffic, and they continue to get more money from advertising. I'm not even saying that to say the First Take is an awful show or anything of that nature. What I am saying is, you say something about a guy's reputation, you scar him. The rest of the league is going to hear what you said. And maybe they don't see you as the foremost authority on running backs because you played safety, but they do hear what you say, and that's not going anywhere. You look at a few other athletes that have had this kind of follow them. You look at a guy like Johnny Manziel, who did earn his reputation as irresponsible and a party boy, and that reputation is going to follow him for a while. But he's made some changes in his life. He's gone to rehab. He's cleaned things up. He's gotten into the film room. He's gotten out onto the field. He's working out with the team. He takes the extra time to prepare. And hopefully that reputation of his will go away. That's somebody who's ruined their own reputation. They scarred his own reputation. And it's by stuff that he's done off the field, which is even worse because all of those things are avoidable. Like, he was putting things on Instagram. Like, if you just went out and partied by yourself, you don't have that reputation. But he was putting it on Instagram, and so everybody knows all of his antics and everything that he was up to. And you know what? Johnny earned that reputation. But that doesn't mean that he can't change, and that doesn't mean that he doesn't have what it takes to be a better person and to be a better football player. He does. He does. That reputation... A reputation is like a pest problem. A bad reputation is like a pest problem. It's very, very easy to get one. It's hard to lose it, though. It's tough. You look at a guy like Tony Romo, who I think is a very good quarterback. Eric Judd doesn't think he's a very good quarterback, and he'll be joining me in our second segment here to pick some college football. I think Tony Romo's a very good quarterback. I think when he has the pieces that he needs, when he has the tools that he needs, he's one of the best in the league. Easily in that top 5 conversation. Maybe you don't have him in there, but he's in the conversation to be there. I think that he's got an opportunity to be a great quarterback, but he's not going to make it in the Hall of Fame if he doesn't win a championship. And Tony Romo is known for being something of a choke artist. When the biggest games are on the line, he has a reputation of making the key mistake that seems to be the move that damns the Dallas Cowboys. He puts them in a position where they can't win. But a lot of times, Tony Romo is the reason why the Cowboys were in a position to win in the first place. Of all the active quarterbacks in the NFL, nobody has more comeback victories than Tony Romo. Nobody. He stands alone as a comeback quarterback. And yet, he seems to always have this reputation as a choker. He leads his team to victory more often than not, but he can't shake the reputation as a choker. Look, it's not completely, he's not without blame. He's not completely without blame. He is the kind of guy that's thrown interceptions late in games when his team needed it, or he's fumbled the ball, or he's made the worst decision that could possibly be made. But when the game is on the line, more often than not, the numbers say, may not pass the eye test, but the numbers say Tony Romo is an incredible clutch quarterback. You want him at the ends of games. You do. That's the part that is mind-boggling to most people, because when you watch the games, you're like, no, Tony Romo's out there choking. You look at the numbers. You go out and look at the games. And he is out there winning these games, but he can't shake the bad reputation, the label that's been slapped on him as a choker. Every time I watch games while I tweet. My handle is @SportsCloud on Twitter. And you know, I'll definitely be watching the Ohio State Virginia Tech game on Monday night, because I'll be making a pick with Eric Judd, and I need to be right. I need to beat him. I need to beat him. There's no way. He will gloat. You don't understand. You've never seen Eric Judd gloat. It's not a good feeling when he's right and you're wrong. I'll be watching that game and I'll tweet. But I tweet during games that I watch, and I watch a lot of Cowboys games because they're in the NFC East, and I watch a lot of NFC East football. The Dallas Cowboys draw more people on Twitter than anybody else. And when Tony Romo fails, when he screws up, everybody comes out of the woodworks. I mean, everybody. You wouldn't believe, people who don't really even watch football. You start to see Tony Romo trending on Twitter, they jump in the conversation and start killing the guy too. I can never believe it. Every time I see it happen, I'm shocked. People just show up to see if Tony Romo will fail. He has that reputation stuck to him. But I urge you to be careful. Sure, it's a problem that the media has, but each and every one of us has a position in life where we can ruin the reputation of somebody else if we're not careful. If you're a local business owner and I eat at your restaurant, and maybe the service wasn't the best, maybe the food wasn't the best, and I go out and I tell everybody, boy, this place is the worst. This place is horrible. People aren't going to go back there again. People will take what I say seriously. Now, if I say, you know what, the service wasn't that great, could have been better, someone might still take a flyer on that restaurant, and they might find that the next day the service is better, that I might just be the outlier. But I have to be careful with what I say with regards to somebody else's reputation, which is why all of this Robert Griffin III stuff does bother me on some level. Not because he hasn't brought some of it on himself, but the media takes this story, blows it entirely out of proportion. And I did promise yesterday I wouldn't go into it, so I'm not going to go into the details again. But I will say that I'm reading reports from Jason La Canfora, who covered the Redskins for a number of years and is the DC insider on CBS Sports. I've read from Britt McHenry, who works for ESPN Washington, and Ryan Clark, who call Trent Richardson the worst running back of all time, was inside the Redskins locker room, has Robert Griffin's number, texts him and calls him on a fairly regular basis around these kinds of stories. And I'm getting conflicting reports. So somebody is wrong about this guy's reputation. And we're not taking it seriously that if you mess around with somebody's reputation, they will not be able to get that stink off easily. And we don't care, oh, he's famous, he'll deal with it. Oh, he's rich, he'll deal with it. This is someone's livelihood. If you tell people that, hey, this Robert guy is a locker room cancer. He shows up in your locker room and only terrible things happen. This Tim Tebow guy, every time he shows up into town, he brings the circus with him. Well, guess what? People will be wary of this person despite the fact that your allegations may not even be true, may not even be based fully on fact. It may just be your opinion. People's reputations are serious business. No matter what job you do, whether you work a 9-to-5 or you're a student or you're a business owner, having someone's reputation in your hands is something you need to be careful with. I need to be careful with it. I'm not absolved from this either. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose. We're going to have some picks. 10 games from college football, me versus Eric Judd with the season on the line. More on Hot News Talk Radio next.
Media Network's coverage of the NFL. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, and myself for all the action.
Hot News Talk 1240.
If it's the NFL, it's right here.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report, every Sunday at 9 a.m. If there's one person we can turn to explore the role debate moderators and members of the press play in shaping elections, it's legendary news anchor Jim Lehrer. Don't miss my guest Jim Lehrer this Sunday at 9 a.m. in the Costa Report, right here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at E.J. Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brainerd Road and in Saudi Daisy, just north of the Bilo. That's E.J. Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead, 622-3156.
When my brother and I opened our first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. This is Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose, and you can find us in a number of different places. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook. Go to the search bar, the handy-dandy search bar, and search Hot News Talk Radio. Or you can find us on hotnewstalkradio.com, and we start streaming as soon as the page loads. You can also search for us on the TuneIn Radio app. Simply go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store if you have an Android device. download the TuneIn Radio app. It is absolutely free. And search Hot News Talk Radio, and you will have us wherever you go. Joining me right now in studio is Mr. Judd of the Eric Judd Show from 11 to noon to join me for college football pick'em, which we will do every week this season. How you doing, Mr. Judd?
I am doing great. And Keon, a pleasure. I wanted to be on your show here since you started, and I bow before you the way I do to the great DT, the David, the one and only David Tulis. You are the sports god here at 12:40 a.m.
Well, okay. Well, first off, I don't think my ego needs that much inflating. I think it's quite big enough as is.
Well, what I want to do is I want to inflate it, because it's going to need inflating, because after I wax you in these picks, I hope you show up Tuesday.
I'll be here.
Okay.
I'll be here.
I hope so.
I am never scared. I will probably be at some point weeping during the weekend. I'm terrible at picking things.
And we're doing straight ups. We're not playing the line, right?
We're not playing the line.
Okay.
I considered it for a moment, but then I took the path of least resistance.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And so we'll just be doing these straight up.
And I know that we have the Texas Notre Dame game in there, and we're also going to have the Arkansas UTEP game, considering that I go with the righteous team of Arkansas and you go with Satan's team from Texas, right?
I wouldn't phrase it quite like that. You made it sound like I root for Sodom and Gomorrah. That is not the team I knew.
The team from Isis, Texas.
Oh boy.
One and only Longhorns.
How about we just stop escalating and jump right into it?
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. What's our first game?
So our first game, number 3 Alabama, Nick Saban versus number 20 Wisconsin. These two teams play very similarly, actually. Love to run the ball, giant offensive lines. Paul Chryst is a first-year head coach for Wisconsin. He was the offensive coordinator for years. And they're playing this one in Dallas, over in Jerry World.
And I know they lost a lot. They lost the running back. They lost a lot on that offensive line. So
they did.
I'm going to take Alabama. I'll take number 3 Alabama, since it's at beautiful Dallas.
I will take Alabama also.
Okay.
It's very hard to pick against Saban.
Yeah, so we're both on the same page with that, right?
We are.
Okay.
We're going to have to disagree with some things here. All right. How inconsiderate of me, by the way. I didn't bring anything for you to write your picks.
No. I'm just writing down so we both.
Okay, so we're both picking Alabama.
Okay.
They're a tough team to beat, regardless, and Wisconsin's Alabama light.
Yes, it is, and they're in a conference that would be SEC light. So Wisconsin, I don't think is going to be a bad team, but they do have a lot of adjustments. Like you said, they have a new coach. They're replacing Ball behind the running back. He was awesome last year.
He was.
And then they're replacing a lot on the offensive line. I think that's just too much to overcome, even though Alabama is going to be starting a new quarterback, but they've got great stable of running backs and that big offensive line. And the defense for Alabama is going to be awesome.
And quarterback's never been a position in Alabama that they've ever had to excel at. Like Blake Sims wasn't the best quarterback ever, but they functioned.
I don't guess Nick Saban has ever had a big time quarterback that he's used.
I don't think so either.
He doesn't need them. So anyway, all right, what's next? Here we go.
Oh, we got a first one here. Texas, my Longhorns. Charlie Strong, his second year as head coach, versus Notre Dame, ranked number 11 in the nation, in Notre Dame. So this is a tough test here for Texas right off the bat.
I mean, I would not want that as my first game. I don't have to take Notre Dame, though. I think Notre Dame is – and I would probably pick ISIS if they played Texas, because you know how I feel about Texas. I was raised in Arkansas, and I was raised with anything coming out of Texas you didn't like. So, but honestly, I think Texas is young, and they're going to go to a hard place to travel. They're going to go to – Notre Dame needs to really make a statement this year. And I think they'll do that, and I think Notre Dame wins.
I think Notre Dame is the better team here. I really do. But I am also a Longhorn fan, and the more I thought about it and tried to be objective, the more I realized that I cannot be objective at all. And I'm picking the Longhorns. I like their defense a lot.
You should.
Notre Dame they've got a new quarterback. Mm-hmm. Starting here because they Everett Golson transferred over to Florida State.
Is he going to start at Florida State?
He is going to start. He won the job yesterday.
I thought so.
So I'm going to choose Texas, despite all logical thoughts to the contrary.
I never know.
I'm going to do it. I feel it in my gut.
So
I
I'm
have
one
it
up on you already. We hadn't even.
Oh, wow.
I've not even been played, and I'm one up on you. Okay, we have Ohio State at Virginia Tech. This is going to be an interesting one.
This is an interesting one. Ohio State is the defending champions, ranked number 1 in the nation. JT Barrett is officially the starter, and he was voted a captain yesterday. Virginia Tech is the only team to have beaten Ohio State last year.
At Ohio State.
At Ohio State. But now they play in Virginia Tech. And Ohio State has some receivers suspended. So they're going to be missing some starters. 3 of them, I believe.
Okay.
So
maybe I'll let you pick first on this.
I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Are you?
I thought about picking the spoiler here, but since I'm already choosing Texas to spoil, I'm going to play it safe on this one. I'm going to go Ohio State. I still think that the Buckeyes are bigger, stronger, faster. Their defense is incredible.
It is. For something tells me that it is a spoiler. I think Virginia Tech gets them. It's at home. Blacksburg is a terrible place for an opposing team to come in and play. And I mean, they always play good in these kind of games. So I'm going to take Virginia Tech. So there we go.
It is a little bit of a trap game going on here, but
we've evened it out.
We've evened it out. And here we are at number 8, Arkansas.
18. I would love for them to be number 8.
18.
But they're 18. Yeah.
I wrote that wrong. Number 18, Arkansas. They visit.
UTEP is at Arkansas.
They are at Arkansas? Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
Why?
Well, you're probably hard for. I know it's hard for you to write Arkansas.
It took a lot out of me just to write those letters in that particular order.
I understand.
Kansas. So it was hard for me to do. UTEP visits Arkansas, the University of Texas in El Paso.
That's it. So it's a Texas team. So I'm going to take my Razorbacks, who will be in the national championship hunt when it's all said and done. Alabama's going down. Auburn's going down. Next year at this time, they're still going to be beating Tennessee. So it is Arkansas all the way.
Well, that was easy for you to say. I'm also going to pick Arkansas, even though it hurt my soul to say those words. Eric, you have no idea.
I understand.
I could not. Okay. I pick Arkansas. They're just better than UTEP. They just are.
And they should.
That's how you start the season. Texas is starting the season with Notre Dame.
Put it in the vault. Master lock pick of the week would be Arkansas over UTEP. So put your 5 bills on that and be happy come Monday morning.
just double that of 5. How much money would you even gain from that?
Well, I don't. The line would. You'd make at least 5. We'd have to see what the line is at the time. So you might make a little more,
possibly. Arizona State, ranked number 15. They are going to
at Texas A&M.
Texas A&M to play the Aggies.
That's a tough place to play.
Gig 'em. And I like. The thing is, I like the Aggies a lot on paper.
Right.
But
they don't play on paper.
They don't play on paper. And even though the Sun Devils aren't, world beaters, I still think they're deeper than A&M.
I would agree with you there. I like Arizona State. Once again, it's a team from Texas, so I'm not going to go that way. And I like Summerlin, their coach, Texas A&M's coach, but I think his philosophy is I have to outscore whatever team's out there. And I know they brought in Chavis, and they've got to get better defensively, but I'm not a big fan in the SEC the way he plays.
It's that relic mindset of being in the Big 12, right, where the Big 12, they don't play defense in the Big 12. No. They just score lots of points.
Can't even spell defense. So who are you going to pick there, young man?
I'm going to pick Arizona State as well.
Okay.
It's just very hard to pick A&M in a position where this is probably one of their down years.
Right.
As well. Just
I think
multiple
the rebuilding,
positions.
I know I still don't think that they've got a quarterback they're going to be happy with.
I think it's going to be a little
last year. I think they don't have a quarterback. I'm going to go with the Sun Devils too.
Absolutely. So now here's a game that I know is going to be hard for you to choose.
Yeah, this is one that's
Bowling Green. The University of Bowling Green visiting University of Tennessee. Those Vols up there in Knoxville.
If we were playing the line, I know which way I would go. And Tennessee's had some problems. They had somebody arrested Sunday night.
Just the other day.
Yeah, and he was intoxicated and walking down Interstate 40. So as you can see, Tennessee is an intellectual school.
I myself have longed for the idyllic I-40
stroll down I-40. Nothing better on a Sunday morning in the AM. I'm going to take Tennessee. I'll go out on a limb, and I'm going to take Tennessee.
I will take Tennessee as well, ranked number 25 in the nation. And I think that's just how we're going to have to play it. It's Bowling Green is the fluff game to start the season. New Mexico State, the Lobos of New Mexico State, visiting the Swamp. They're going to go to Florida.
And that's going to be an interesting game. I think New Mexico State can probably play with them the first quarter, maybe well into the second quarter. But then after that, I mean, Florida's just got too much talent, even in a down year. And I would pick Florida to beat New Mexico State coming to Florida.
Florida, it is a down year, and they have a new head coach. I'm going to choose New Mexico State for the upset.
Oh, my goodness.
That's right. That's right. I wanted to be sensible and reasonable here, but I like upsets. That's part of the fun. So I'm going to go with that one.
Okay, that's going to be an interesting to watch.
Now, this is a game that I know a lot about on the Maryland side. Don't know too much about the game on the Richmond side of things. The Richmond Spiders visit the Maryland Terrapins. This is Maryland's second year in the Big Ten after being an ACC team for years and years and years. And they played surprisingly well in the Big Ten.
Right.
Despite the fact that they have that ACC mindset, and so everyone's looking for them to improve this season. I'm going to go ahead and pick Maryland over Richmond.
And I will go with you on that. I like Maryland in that game. And, Richmond does have a connection to Chattanooga. Not only did they come here and play in the championship game when we had the championship game, but the UTC head coach, Russ Huesman, was the defensive coordinator at Richmond before he came here.
I did not know that.
Oh, see, learning something.
Learning something new every day. And I'm looking forward to UTC this season.
I am too.
By the way, they've made a lot of improvements over the years for the Mocs. I'm very excited.
I am too. I think they're going to have a great year.
Now we've got some Mississippi on Mississippi violence. Mississippi State featuring Dak Prescott and Little Else versus Southern Mississippi.
Which just has little else.
So,
yeah, Southern Miss is one of those unique teams. They usually jump up and grab somebody out of the blue sometimes, but I don't think they have it this year. They just don't have the talent, and Mississippi State does. Even though it's a down year for Mississippi State, they do recruit great, and I'm going to take the Bulldogs of Mississippi State.
Okie dokie. I take Mississippi State as well. I think they're too talented a team. They're a very quick and at the same time very large team. Also, Dak Prescott is a Heisman Trophy dark horse.
Good. He is. I'd love to have him at Arkansas.
Yeah, he's incredible, and he's very Ben Roethlisberger like.
Yes, he is.
His size,
only faster,
much faster.
Yes.
Our final game here of our picks: number 6 Auburn versus Louisville.
This is going to be interesting.
They're playing in a neutral location in the Georgia Dome.
It is. Auburn's going to pack it out. Of course, Louisville always plays well. They're well coached, even though I'm not a fan of their coach, and you would know why after what he did to my Razorbacks. But anyway, I'm going to take Louisville in an upset over Auburn. I do not believe in Auburn right now.
I don't believe in Auburn, but I do believe Auburn is that much better than Louisville. So I'll take Auburn. I'll take the Tigers in that one, and I'll be beating you with that. We'll see. This is our first week of picks. I've enjoyed already the picking.
Oh, absolutely. And next week you're going to be on my show, and we're going to pick on my show next Wednesday, and then we'll just kind of trade back and forth.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I wish you luck because you're going to need it, because I've got all the skill in the world right here, baby.
In your dreams, Mr. Judd, while you're sleeping, because when you're awake, you'll be watching the horror of all of your picks going sideways.
I will beat you like an old dog with fleas is what I'm going to do. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and have a great Labor Day.
You as well. I will be working on Labor Day. I will be here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Thank you, Mr. Judd.
Thank you for having me on Clutch.
I will be here on Labor Day, toiling over a hot microphone here on Clutch with Keon Rose. Hot News Talk Radio. We'll be talking a little bit more college football on the other side, and Trent Richardson next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Heating up out there through the afternoon with partly cloudy skies. Dry for a while as well. Highs of around 90 tonight. Fair, but a little muggier. Lows near 70. For Thursday and Friday, not much change. Some sunshine and hot afternoons through Friday with highs 90 to 92. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm WDEF News 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
This is America Now with Meghan McCain.
Al Gore running is crazy. You're flying around in your private jet all over the world, and you want average Americans to care about the environment. Don't you think you should be doing your part as well?
Meghan McCain, weekdays at 7 p.m.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Trade Bank. Call now to get access to nearly 400 local businesses. Trade Bank. Call 877-2202. 877-2202. Trade Bank. You want to increase your cash flow, your competitive edge, attract new customers, and build a loyal customer base. You need Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call right now. 877-2202. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want with our wide variety of Trade Bank partners. For almost 30 years, Trade Bank has been your voice for small business, a member of the American Bankers Association, and in good standing with you. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation, 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
Social media, we're on that. Hot News Talk Radio on Facebook, at Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. Download the TuneIn app and follow us anywhere at any time. AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
If you have the DTs, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. Mention Hot News Talk Radio and get 10% off.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me. However you may be listening, whether you're listening to me on hotnewstalkradio.com, whether you're using the free TuneIn Radio app that can be found in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store for those with Android devices, and you've searched Hot News Talk Radio and pressed play, whether you're interacting with us on Twitter, searching for us on Hot News Talk Radio, our handle is at Hot News Radio, or whether you're interacting with us on Facebook, Hot News Talk Radio. That's all the places that we can be found. And any place that you're listening to us, and any way that you found to listen to us, whether you've left a cup in the station and used a piece of yarn and attached it to another cup back at your house and you're listening to us that way. However you're listening, I'm very glad that you've taken the time to join us. Talking about college football, and we're talking about well, we made our picks last segment, me and Mr. Judd of the Eric Judd Show, from 11 to noon. He and I are the big sports fans here in the studio, and it's always a blast to talk to Eric. He's hilarious, but also I'm looking forward to these challenges. I haven't had to pick against anybody in a very, very long time. I notoriously reach for upsets that are not there, so I'm interested in seeing how all of this goes. But also, I think I could beat him. Come on. We're also talking about reputation today, and yesterday we were talking a little bit about legacy and what that means for everyone, really, but for athletes who are playing and who want to leave this lasting image of them. And getting into the Hall of Fame is one of those ways that you can leave a lasting image. Yesterday, baseball commissioner Manfred, he basically said to the Museum of Shoeless Joe Jackson, let's just say that 3 times fast. Shoeless Joe Jackson not allowed to be in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame for his part in the fixing of the 1919 World Series, also known as the Black Sox scandal. Scandal so famous it was mentioned in one of the great literary novels in American history, The Great Gatsby. Shoeless Joe Jackson has been dead since 1951, and he is still not being allowed into the Hall of Fame. And the immediate impact that has, of course, is Pete Rose, who one of the great baseball players of all time and the best hitter in Major League Baseball history, is also not going to be in the Hall of Fame for his part in gambling on games that he both managed and possibly games that he played in as well. And that affects his legacy, that this player that should be remembered for being great is going to be remembered basically like a crook, basically like a cheater. He's on the same position that a lot of these guys who took steroids are in. You took steroids in the 90s and early 2000s when baseball was going through that craze. You were basically cheating. Okay, you're cheating. I say basically cheating because there were so many guys on steroids and it was impossible to know who was and who wasn't. You know, and the number one use of steroid use was not to hit the ball harder or hit it farther or whatever. It was to recover. It was baseball injuries tend to be nagging injuries. You play 162 games, grueling games, back to back to backs. In a lot of cases, you're just trying to recover. Okay, not everyone can be Cal Ripken, baseball's Iron Man, and play through injuries and have the record for the longest amount of longest amount of games without missing a game. You know, not everyone can play for 15 straight years. It would be tough to do. It's tough to play half a baseball season without getting injured, much less play through an entire season. And so guys were taking steroids for those kinds of things, and it's cheating. Okay, I'm not saying that Barry Bonds ought to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying Mark McGwire ought to be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm saying Pete Rose didn't do what they did. He didn't cheat. He's basically being left out of the Hall of Fame for taking away from the integrity of the league, for detracting from the integrity of the league. So the league is looking out for its own legacy, its own reputation, what we allow into the Hall of Fame and what we do not allow into the Hall of Fame. And you see it in the NFL as well, where Roger Goodell comes down overly hard in a lot of cases on players simply because he's trying to protect the reputation of the NFL, right? That if you detract from the reputation of the shield, the logo, the NFL, if you take away from that, you will be severely punished. And the reason why the NFL is going after Tom Brady so hard is because it was taking away from the reputation of the league. People have tampered with the football for ages. For ages. Recently, Aaron Rodgers a few years ago. He admitted on the Dave Letterman show. It's not like he was in private. He was on the Dave Letterman show, and he was talking about how, you try and mess with the football. You leave it by the heater. Aaron Rodgers likes the football to be overinflated. So he tries to get it closer to that mark. He's got big hands, and so you want an overinflated football because it makes it easier to grip. You've got smaller hands. You want it to be underinflated. And so, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, who is also a star quarterback in this league, has messed with the footballs in terms of changing its PSI outside of the boundaries of the rules. But the reason why the league is coming down on Tom Brady is because he's Brady. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback and will one day be a legend. Tom Brady is a legend right now. Tom Brady is going to be in the Hall of Fame as of this moment. And so it's difficult for the league to see Tom Brady has messed and tampered with footballs, and we have to let that go. So the league is coming after Tom Brady, whether or not they have enough evidence to do so, to suspend him for 4 games. Now, I don't think they anticipated that he would fight back, nor do I think they anticipated that it would work, his fighting back, but they had to come down on him. The issue is, this is Tom Brady's first time really getting in trouble with the NFL ever. So their rules, their penalty, it's too much. There isn't a history of cheating with Tom Brady. Maybe with the Patriots. The Patriots have Spygate. The amount of gates that the Patriots have been involved in. The league came down hard on the Saints with Bountygate. And they do this. And first off, and I would like to go off on a side tangent here because it's a thing that bothers me personally. But I have to say it this way so that people know what I'm talking about. I am tired of us slapping gate on the back of scandals. It doesn't make any sense. It literally doesn't make any sense. Here's what it is, okay? Slapping gate on the back of a scandal makes no sense because the original scandal for which we are referencing is when agents of Richard Nixon broke into the Democratic National Convention, the Watergate Hotel. Thus, we have the Watergate scandal because the scandal was for the Watergate Hotel. If you, by that same logic, slap gate on the back of every scandal, it would be the Watergate scandal. It doesn't make any sense. We should stop. We need to stop doing that. It bothers me. It really does. It irks me on a level that is unreal. We use words properly. Okay? Each scandal is its own scandal. It is not a gate. Okay? Can we stop doing that? It makes none sense. 0 sense. Watergate. Deflategate. I'm literally cringing at whatever the next scandal is because I know what we're going to do. I know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have a scandal. We're going to slap gate on it, and then that's going to be that. It just riles me, you guys. It riles me. But back to the point. The league looks out for its reputation. It doesn't want you to think that its players don't have integrity, that the games are fixed, or that there's cheating or collusion or any of those things involved. So they come down hard on guys, whether or not they have the proof. And the league does not have the proof against Tom Brady. Tom Brady is probably not going to serve this suspension. The judge will most likely rule in his favor, simply because the league does not have the evidence to prove that Tom Brady was involved in tampering with footballs. Now, they can prove that the team did it. They can come down hard on the New England Patriots, take away a draft pick or two, but they can't come down that hard on Tom Brady, especially now that the courts are involved. But the reason why the league will do this is for its own reputation, which brings me to Major League Baseball. While it's protecting its reputation on one front, keeping shoeless Joe Jackson out of the Hall of Fame and keeping Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame, it is not protecting its reputation on a safety front. We had a fan earlier in the week, may have been earlier this week, late last week, die at a baseball game. And one of the big controversies of the season is, do baseball teams, do baseball stadiums need netting along the foul lines. And I think they do. You want your reputation as being a safe spectator sport for your fans to see. A fan gets hit by a foul ball, that's dangerous. They could be seriously injured. They could possibly die. Die, you say? Is that a little over the top? Am I being a little over dramatic? No, I'm not being a little over dramatic. One of the players that I've been obsessed with this season because he's incredibly fun to watch. He plays for the Florida Marlins. His name is Giancarlo Stanton. And he's been calculated this season as hitting the ball harder than anybody in the league. When Giancarlo Stanton hits the ball, the baseball is exiting the stadium at around 115 miles per hour. When Stanton hits the ball and it's a foul ball, imagine that you had a child with you. Child is not necessarily into baseball. They may be 4 or 5 years old. Maybe they're playing their Game Boy. Maybe they're not paying attention because they're children. Okay, they don't have the long attention spans to sit down and watch a 2.5 to 3 hour baseball game. They're not looking enraptured at every single moment. And Giancarlo Stanton hits a baseball and it's headed for your kid. Now, what do you say about Major League Baseball's reputation then? It's not safe. Fan safety needs to be a priority. Not just for the reputation of the league, but literally just so that you feel safe bringing your child, bringing your significant other to a game. People bring their friends to games that maybe are just now getting into the sport. And to me, I don't want to scare people away. Like, no, I won't come to a baseball game with you because I have to pay attention for all 2 hours and 45 minutes, or I'm going to get hit in the face with a baseball. That's not fair. And you want more people to like the sport. You want to be inclusive. I know that there are elitists out there that are like, well, you go to the baseball game, you should pay attention. You should be paying attention. If you get hit in the face, you deserve to be hit in the face. You should have been watching the game. Well, no, because you bring casual fans into the ballpark too. That's how you make money. I want more people to like the sport that I like. I don't know about you. I'm not trying to exclude people. I want people to enjoy the sport. I want the sport to grow and to flourish. I want to be inclusive, not exclusive. I want more people to like baseball. And we will drive people away. That's going to be our reputation. Elitists who say you don't deserve to be at the games because if you're not paying attention, you deserve to be hit in the face with a baseball. No, you don't. You really, really don't. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We're talking about reputations, and I'm talking about the reputation of Major League Baseball as of this moment, not being an incredibly safe product for fans. It's one thing if you're sitting on the front row and you're at a basketball game and a player crashes into you and a player runs into you. You have a lower likelihood of dying there than when a baseball, a small projectile, comes in at 100 miles per hour, hurling towards your face. Safety. That's going to improve the reputation of the league. And we don't need to exclude people who are casual fans, who want to sit in good seats, watch the game from a view that's nice and that makes sense, but at the same time, they're going to be excluded because they have to pay attention to every little second, every single pitch of a baseball game as they're trying to pick up the sport. Makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. I want more people to like the sport. But maybe that's just me. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You've been listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. We'll catch you all later. Coming up after me, the Confederate Mike Show. He's loud and he knows what he believes. And you're not going to want to miss it here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. Next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes. Police in Fox Lake, Illinois are not very talkative. Careful with any information being released to the public about the expanding manhunt for 3 suspects in the murder of Police Lieutenant Joe Glenowitz. The latest now, live, CBS's Deborah Rodriguez.
Lake County Major Crime Task Force Commander George Falenko says much of their search relies on old-fashioned detective work.
Canvassing, talking to people in the area, reviewing those videos.
Videos from local businesses and homeowners with sophisticated surveillance systems. And they are not ruling out the possibility of one of the suspects talking about the crime.
Usually if there's 3 or more, or even 2 or more involved, it's difficult to keep those types of secrets to yourself.
Local schools closed today. No word yet on tomorrow. Harley?
In Baltimore, people were in the streets protesting before they heard the decision by the judge on the plea from defense attorneys to drop the charges against the police officers accused in the death of Freddie Gray in police custody.
The judge did what judges all over the country do every day, which is to permit the prosecution's case to proceed toward trial by denying a very aggressive media-savvy defense strategy here to put the conduct of the prosecutor on trial.
CBS News senior legal analyst Andrew Cohen. Defense attorneys had claimed the prosecutor showed bias in her comments about the case. And the judge said, while some of those comments were troubling, it was not enough to trash the case against the police officers. President Obama knows Congress opposes his nuclear weapons deal with Iran, but the White House is calling it a success, that now he has enough Democrats signed up to protect his veto if Congress rejects it.
34 was the magic number needed in the Senate to guarantee the president could sustain a veto of any resolution of disapproval of the deal. And President Obama lobbied hard to get that 34th vote, and he did today. The president is wrapping up his 3-day trip to Alaska, visiting rural villages, and at this point is not expected to comment on the development.
Now, CBS's Pam Coulter is in Anchorage, Alaska, with the president. In the stock markets, it is a seesaw, says broker Teddy Weisberg of Seaport Securities.
Yesterday, the screens were literally all red, not one green price on the screen. And today, they're all green.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 205 points at the moment. The NASDAQ has gained 62 points. The S&P is up 20. And oil prices are about where they were yesterday at $45.50 a barrel. The consulting firm Robert Half is predicting starting salaries in several sectors of the economy may have nice increases next year. Via Skype, Executive Director Paul McDonald.
The overall increase we're predicting is 4.1%. That's up from the previous year prediction of 3.8%, with technology and finance and accounting being the largest gainers.
The fourth category expected to do well is creative marketing. This is CBS News.
Do 5 unelected lawyers on the Supreme Court have the right to redefine marriage for 320 million Americans? If you believe that 5 lawyers have no authority to impose their personal opinion on all Americans, please pick up the phone now. The Supreme Court has abandoned the rule of law, and if we allow 5 lawyers to rule over us without constitutional authority, we have lost our freedom as Americans. It is not too late to turn our country around, but we need you to let us know your opinion today. Please call 800-293-9551 and press 1 if you believe the Supreme Court had no authority to redefine marriage. 5 lawyers ignored the Constitution and millennia of human history. Please call 800-293-9551 and press 1 or go to pushforliberty.com and let us know your opinion. We will push back and amplify your voice in a powerful national campaign. Again, call 800-293-9551 and press 1 or go to pushforliberty.com. Call now, 800-293-9551. Paid for by Liberty Counsel.
An amazing surgical procedure to save a man's hand in Texas appears to have worked.
The 87-year-old spent 3 weeks with his left hand surgically tucked into his belly in a radical attempt to save the badly burned limb. Late last week, doctors at Houston Methodist Hospital cut the hand free of its temporary home, grafted on some abdominal tissue and skin, and reattached it to his arm. The procedure successfully restored circulation to the hand, and the retired cattle ranch worker hopes to regain near full use of it. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
Published in the journal Nature, the latest estimate of the number of trees on this planet